Expos.
To the mic.
Friend of the show, let's bring in Bryce Eldridge. Let's welcome in Lee Jung-Hoo from Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. He wears number 65, Landon Root.
Well, I appreciate it, Bill. I always enjoy talking to you.
Let's welcome in Wade Boggs. Let's bring in Will the Thrill. He's the ace of the staff. Let's welcome in Logan Webb. Logan, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Good to be on here.
Welcome to Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Giants sweep the LA Dodgers.
Sponsored by Lunardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply the best. Right here on your exclusive home of the San Francisco Giants. KNBR, the sports leader.
Adrian Morejon sets. There goes McRae. The pitch is swung on. A high drive out into left center. That'll stay in the yard. Over to his right. Merrill has it. And the Padres win the game and take the series. Even though the Giants won the first game, the Padres win it 3 out of 4 as they get ready to head to the desert and their showdown with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Welcome into the Sunday edition of the Extra Inning Post-Game Show with Bill Laskey. And you think about what happened in their last homestand where the Giants won 2 out of 3 against the Anaheim Angels, 2 out of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers. Everything was going right. And what do? They go to San Diego and they win the first game of a 4-game series. Well, things just went the opposite way as the Giants lose their last 3 games there today, once again falling behind 4-0 in the second inning. Just one bad inning once again for Landon Root, and he got chased with a home run by Jackson Merrill, and the walks haunted him. 2 walks scored. Just like yesterday when we talked about Tyler Mahle, he walked 2, and both of those runs scored. So the walks are really hurting the starting pitching. We talk about the bullpen giving up walks. Well, the starting pitching now all of a sudden are giving up the 90-foot free passes, and today it hurt Landon Root as he goes 4 2/3 innings, giving up 5 earned runs on 6 hits. And here's the number, 4 walks on 6 strikeouts. After the second inning, he settled down until the 5th inning after he got the first 2 guys out. A base hit by Tyler France. Jackson Merrill gets a walk, and Luis Capizano gets a base hit, and there was another run. So he just could not shut the door in that 5th inning. Sam Hedges came in, got out of the inning, but again, it was another added run. The Giants did scratch out 3 before that. They got to 4-3 after a top of 5, and the 1 run opened it up, and the Giants scored 1 more in the 8th on the home run by Rafael Devers, his 23rd. The Giants dropped this game 5-4. They're now 47-65, where the San Diego Padres are now 58-54. The Padres have won 8 out of their last 9 games. They swept the Marlins in Miami. They took 2 from Colorado, and now they've just taken 3 out of 4 from the San Francisco Giants. And now they're going to go to Arizona and battle the Diamondbacks for a 4-game series as both these teams are fighting for a wild card position, and also second in the NL West. Well, with a lot of trades, handful of trades going on today. We'll talk more about that as we get through the show. Nothing major on the Giants side. A lot of projections, a lot of teams talking about different players once again, but nothing has been concrete yet. Of course, Luis Arraez is the name, 4 or 5 teams inquiring. And a tweet went out there today. I think it was, I can't think who put it out there, said that the Giants want more than what is expected. And I think, well, we'll find out more by tomorrow at 3 p.m. The Giants will be traveling to Dallas, Texas right now to play the Texas Rangers. And the Rangers are second in the AL West. They've just dropped 5 straight, and they're now 2.5 games behind Houston. And Houston, on the other side, they've won 5 straight. They've 9-1 in their last 10. And the Rangers are 28-25 at home. So Logan Webb will get that start tomorrow. And we'll find out what's going to happen because the trade deadline will be over by 5 o'clock. First pitch tomorrow, 5:05, right here on KNBR. And I said Logan Webb's on the hill, 6-7 with a 3.9. The Rangers have not put a pitcher TBD to be announced. Well, Basabe once again hit a home run. He had a nice home run and a double yesterday. He had a nice home run in the 5th inning, his second. A couple minor mistakes fielding the ball, kind of lobbing the ball over to first base. The one time he threw it over Devers' head for an error. And then the other one, he caught it, kind of laid up, just kind of lobbed it over there and ended up being an infield base hit. But on the other side, hitting the ball very well. And I just wonder if when he got hit in the ninth inning, and I'm a pitcher, an ex-pitcher, I just wonder if that was intentional. And I look back at what Mason Miller did yesterday when he got the double. Mason Miller was pretty upset. And there was no reason to go inside. Morihone did that, and he threw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball in on his arm. I still think it was on purpose. I really do. I just watched too much baseball, and I've been involved with too much baseball. And I just think that was just something that they were upset that he got the hit yesterday. And, of course, a home run ball today. But we can discuss that as the show goes on. Just a few things that went on today. The biggest trade really was the Yankees. They traded with the Washington Nationals. Luis Garcia Jr., a 26-year-old infielder, hitting 283. The big number is 23 home runs, 76 RBIs. The Yankees traded him. He's been with the Nationals for 7 years. Really hitting the ball well this year. Like I said, 23 home runs. He got 81 home runs in 7 years. They were looking for a stick. They traded 4 minor league pitchers, all right-handed pitchers, for Luis Garcia Jr. Earlier today, Tampa Bay picked up Freddie Peralta, the two-time All-Star. Was having a tough year with the Mets. He was 5-9 with a 4.9 earned run average. Signed a big contract with the Mets, and now he's on to Tampa Bay. And, of course, Tampa Bay gave up some minor leaguers also for that trade. And, again, yesterday, Tarek Skubal is now a Dodger with 3 top prospects going over to the Detroit Tigers. But that's about it. A lot of little stuff going on. I'm sure tonight and tomorrow will be the big day starting early, and it's always that Monday. It's always those late ones, always going down to that last minute of trades, and we'll definitely find out and keep you abreast on that. 415-808-KNBR, let's talk about this Giants team and talk about what you think the Giants want back. I always ask this question, and it always comes back as pitching, which I really believe is the number one priority the Giants need. Is when you look at the rotation and all the question marks in the rotation and how Buster Posey is going to rebuild his bullpen for the 2027 season. All right, we'll take a quick break, come back. Phones are starting to come in. Like I said, 415-808-KNBR. I'm Bill Laskey. We'll be right back on KNBR, the sports leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, the sports leader.
The one inning obviously bit him. It's interesting how the caught stealing worked out because he had France, down 2 strikes, didn't take very good swings against him. And then he took a good swing to fight one off to start that inning. Merrill's dangerous, but after that, the walks ended up hurting us there. So if you could remove the one outing or the one inning from the outing, which you can't, it'd be pretty dang good. Got there at the tail end of things. No matter what happened, Camposado was going to be the last hitter. He hadn't looked very good against him the previous 2 at-bats and the first swing. He was just able to get enough of that ball to sneak it through the 6-hole.
Back on KNBR with Bill Laskey, Tony Vitello talking about Landon Roop's outing, and it really did start in that second inning. He had Ty France on a 1-2 count. Ty France gets a base hit. But once again, Jackson Merrill with an 0-2 pitch, and he tried to elevate. He didn't get it up high enough, and Merrill hit that one 420 feet for his 16th home run. And just what you said, what Tony just said, a couple walks, a strikeout, another walk to load the bases up, and a 3-2 count on Cronenworth. The runners were moving, and a ground ball to Adames' right. Kind of bobbled a little bit, but both runs scored. A very aggressive turn right there by Bogarts, and it ended up scoring 2 runs on that infield hit. And they ended up scoring 4 that inning and really opened the game up for the Padres. But dissecting Landon Roop a little bit more, to find out how many innings this guy's gone through. That was his 22nd start. 3 times only in 22 starts he's gone 7 innings or more. 8 times he's gone 6 innings. 3 times he's gone 5 innings. And here's a number that really tells you a 500 pitcher. 8 times he's gone 5 innings or less. So, when you're looking at 22 starts and you're looking at 11 of those at 5 innings or less, there's your 22 starts. So that's why when you're looking at Landon Roop, it's always 1 inning. It always gets him in trouble. It's usually the middle innings, but today it was the second inning, and he loses command of his pitches. He still had a nice 5-pitch mix today. The fastball was at 93. The sinker was right in that 90, 91 where you want it. The curveball was in the 70s, the changeup in the low 80s. That's what you want. But again, the command. He didn't get going in that second inning, got behind hitters. There was a stat today, 137 times Landon Roop has had a 3-ball count, and today he had 8 of them. So, and that is the most in Major League Baseball. So this is something that you got to watch in Landon Roop. And, of course, I always look at first pitch strikes, 13 only out of 24 hitters. And that's where I think the first start he has to get going, and the first pitch strike has to be a priority for him to get linked in these games. 3 times, only 7 innings plus, 8 times, only 6 innings. So 11 of those, and then you count the other 11, and it's a big question mark on how he's going out there to advance and try to get deeper in these games. Something he's got to work on. There's no question, as there's 50 games left in this baseball season for the San Francisco Giants, and 15 of those are going to be against the American League, starting off with 3 in Texas, and then they come home next weekend, and they play 3 against Detroit, 3 against Houston, and then Colorado for 3. So a nice 9-game homestand. It'll be 10 days because the 13th they'll have a day off. And then they play Cleveland and Boston. So a lot of American League contenders, a lot of American League teams that are in contention, and that's what the Giants are going to have to do here. 15 out of the 50 against the American League. 415-808 KNBR. If you want to get on the phone lines, let's go to Hank. He's in East Bay. Hank, how are you on a Sunday?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. I got to admit I missed the game, but I think I've watched every other one or listened to it. I just wonder, how you doing, Bill?
I'm doing good, Hank. Appreciate the call. And, today they just fell behind the 8 ball in the second inning with 4 runs, and it's tough to come back with the Padres. Even though they had a opener today, their bullpen is real solid.
Yeah, I think Roop has been a little bit a victim of circumstance. Things kind of, get beyond his control. You like to see a pitcher kind of grab the bull by the horns. But, he's young. What I think the team – and also I saw Henches. He has a good pitching mechanics. He really throws it. And I saw Goose Gossage. He was saying that people today don't have good wind-ups and stuff. So I think that's a good sign for Hentges.
Sam Hentges might be traded. You know, that's a left-hander that's in the mix. Same thing with J.T. Brubaker. They're free agents at the end of the year. Both of them have been really throwing well for the Giants. Hedges has got a 2.6 earned run average. Brubaker's just around 3. Veteran pitchers that could build a bullpen for any contending team or team going into the wild card. That's going to be probably that last hour of the trade deadline when they start picking up arms.
I just want to say what I think the team needs. I don't know the financials, and the team I don't think really communicated it super well. But what I think we need is something like the Livan Hernandez trade, because I don't think we have quite enough quality innings. I think Webb's been great, and his name escapes me, but we all know him. The second guy, I call him Schilling and Johnson. No, the other pitcher, the other ace we got, the guy who won Cy Young.
Robbie Ray.
So I think with Ray and Webb, I think what could really, they add a lot of stability, but it's not quite enough. I think with the pitch, the innings limits, and the young guys we have on the staff, I think as I said, I'm not talking about the financials, but I think what we need is an innings eater, kind of like we added Livan Hernandez to Russ Ortiz and Sean Estes, and I think something like that would really help us compete. And I was wondering, what do you think about that? And is, I don't know, how realistic it is, but I think we're close,
Well, Hank, the biggest thing with Robbie Ray is 34 years old, and he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's owed $25 million. He's on a long-term contract that's expiring, and I think that's the issue that teams want him in their rotation as a left-handed pitcher. He's been pitching dynamic since the beginning of June. I think he might be traded here today till tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I think he's up to be traded. Teams are looking for pitchers like him to build a rotation. From there, you just got to put a big question mark on this rotation when you got Logan Webb, Landon Roop, Carson Wisenhunt. Maley's not going to be around next year. You have Hauser that could be a starter. I really think they're going to have to build this rotation with free agents or some trades. The same thing in the bullpen. The bullpen's a mess. There's just no stability down there, and I think that's the priority right now, Hank, that Buster Posey is going to have to look at when he's going to make these trades here in the next less than 24 hours.
Well, let me just say that signing a bunch of veterans for one-year deals in the rotation, I don't think that's worked. And just because it basically puts a lot of pressure on guys to win like 8-9 games, right, in the first half or something or whatever, and it's just like it's asking a lot. I don't know what the answer is, maybe drafting more young pitchers, but yeah, I'm sure they find good deals on 1 year for veterans, but I think what's really going to add, because I think we have a great lineup. So I think all we need is Webb and a really good pitcher, or Webb plus 2, and I think it would really change the dynamics of this watching this team and following this team.
Yeah, I agree. I really believe, Hank, the rotation is going to have to get stronger, and maybe you can pick up a starting member of the rotation in a trade. But right now, when you're seeing what some of these big-name pitchers are going for, they're going for 2 or 3 minor leaguers. There really hasn't been a major haul in anybody, even from Freddie Peralta. What happened with the Mets? They got 4 young pitchers. That's it. And then you look at Luis Garcia Jr., another one has got 4 minor leaguers. So there's really no big names coming back in return. And I think that's why Buster hasn't really made a move yet. He's holding his cards up to see what's coming in. But you know what? He's got to do something. We're 22 hours out, and trades are going to have to be made here if he's going to clean the deck and try to get going.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe drafting more pitchers, because it's hard to find deals unless you're Brian Sabian up all night. You know what I mean? So,
well, we'll find out, Hank, but I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call, Hank. Let's go to David. He's in Berkeley. David, you're on the Next Earning Post-Game Show. What's going on, David?
Hi there, Bill. Thanks so much for taking my call. I'm a longtime Giants fan. I go back to Candlestick Park in the mid-'60s with, Mays, McCovey, Marichal, Cepeda, that crew.
Boy, some good memories right there, David.
Absolutely. I still have my baseball autograph by Willie Mays, procured for me by my dad. I wanted to mention really concerned about what happened to Oslevis Basabe today getting hit. And yesterday when he made his appearance after being called up, John Miller made a comment about most people not even being able to pronounce his name. And I think it was Dave who said that, yeah, and probably even his last name as well. And you seem to be able to pronounce it completely accurately, which amazes me because there's a couple of names that I would like to respectfully suggest that you modify your pronunciation of. One is Tyler Malley. It's not Maley. It's not Molly. It's Malley. And here's a memory trick to remember that. What do you hit a croquet ball with? You hit it with a mallet. Mallet, Malley. Not Maley, not Molly. It's
That's
Tyler
great, David. What's the other name I'm messing up, David? Let's move on. Go ahead.
Well,
What's the next one you want to talk about?
As of yesterday, Tarek Screwball. It's not Screwball. I don't think he throws.
I didn't say screwball. I've always said screwball, David. That's okay. Thanks for being a professor today. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to Ingrid in Dublin. Ingrid, you're on the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey. How are you?
Well, I am good, and I want to tell you how much I look forward to listening to you after every game that I can listen to. You have turned me into a Giants fan. I am a Tigers fan from Michigan, and live in this area now. But your knowledge of baseball, you stay on focus. Your knowledge of the game, you put your heart into everything you say, and I really appreciated that. So
Ingrid, thank you. I appreciate
that.
And
I love.
Hey, Ingrid, I got to tell you something, Ingrid. I'm going to tell you something that's going to go on next weekend. So you know I'm a Tiger fan. That's where I grew up, right?
Yes,
I was a big Detroit Tiger fan.
And you're going to have some good. Who's your interviews next weekend?
Are you ready? Are you ready for this one?
Yep, I'm going to write them down.
Denny McClain, the last 30-game
word.
winner, and John Hiller. John Hiller, of
Oh
course,
my
the left-handed
God.
reliever. Both of them,
my
two good
goodness.
ones.
How did you find? Well, yes, Denny McClain has quite the past. How did you find them? My brother.
Well, I research a lot, and I got some friends back in Detroit, and I did the Denny McClain interview already. He was fabulous. We talked a lot, and of course,
and
he was a pitcher that I followed when I was growing up. So once I started telling him, he was kind of like my hero because I really watched everything he did. And of course, Mickey Lolich was another one. The lefty and righty were two good combinations. But I knew you'd love that one since you're a Tiger fan.
Well, I will. We're going to the game on Sunday, so what day?
Great.
I'll have to figure out how to listen to him after if I miss it. But wow, I will look. That gives me something to look forward to. I feel like I'm in mourning over this Derek Scooble. So now you got me out of the funeral home. So that's wonderful. So my question.
Yeah, that was. I was going to ask you that, Ingrid. What did you think of that trade? Were you thinking that Screwball was going to be with the Tigers for a longevity?
Well, that's my question because. I follow the Free Press. That's our Detroit paper, and they've been
I remember it.
Like Mitch Albom said, the process was worse than what happened because all year he had that arbitration in the fall, and he's been saying, "I'm a Tiger, I'm a Tiger, I love these fans," and he wanted the Tigers to buy and buy and buy, and then. Does it because he has pressure from his agent to leave, or is it like they said, the high school girlfriend goes off for the quarterback star? He just, he sells his birthright for a pot of stew. So what goes on in all that? Because we saw it coming as the Tigers have had an up and down year, and yet it's everything he did was against what he was saying he was going to do.
And one thing, Ingrid, that he said, which kind of got me the same way thinking, he was a pitcher that the Tigers gave that opportunity to. He, went through the minor leagues, and he got the ability to get to the big leagues. He said, all my friends in baseball are here in a Tiger uniform.
Right.
And he got really emotional in it yesterday in his post-game conference. And, you start thinking about, well, you're saying that to say it, or are you telling it from your heart? Because if it was from your heart, there was some talk about him signing with the Tigers in a long-term contract, but there was nothing that came about it. So you start thinking about if the agent said, look, we're not going to be able to do this, the longevity of a contract with Detroit, they don't want to put the money into it, so let's look out for trades. But what they got back, I was really surprised the 3 players they got back weren't knockout players. You would have thought Milwaukee or Philadelphia, even the Cubs would have brought in a little bit more. But the Dodgers did, and now he's going to be pitching in Wrigley Field on Tuesday against the Cubs.
Well,
so it'll be interesting to see how he does in the National League.
Is that also pressure from the, his agent who is, is that also how that works?
I don't know if there's pressure in it. Once you get to the major leagues, it's not the pressure of changing uniforms. It's just relocating. You got a whole new team, teammates, and you got to get adjusted to the new organization. But he knows what he was trying to do. Screwball was really interested in getting traded, just didn't know where he was going to fit in, and he'll be a free agent next year. So, the Dodgers got enough money to sign him long term, and I really believe in his heart that's where he wanted to get traded to.
And in the end, he kind of hinted at that. So it was kind of, when Verlander finally asked for a trade, and he was honest, I want to win a World Series. Well, we could accept that. We get that one, right? He didn't win one with Detroit. So at least I think that's the most frustrating thing. He's a good man, all that, but just be honest. I remember one year, years ago, Al Kaline felt like he didn't deserve the bonus they gave him. He said, I didn't play that well this year. And, he's missed. Scubel's missed a lot this year. That just struggled. But anyway, and from a pitcher standpoint, does that make sense to you? Yeah, I love my team, but, hey, I'm getting offered bazillions of dollars. And,
and he will. There's no question. Look what he did in the American League. Cy Young winner. He did everything he could with the Detroit Tigers. I really thought Detroit was going to keep him. I thought somehow, some way they were going to offer him a long-term contract. In Detroit, I don't know if the money is that major back there rather than a big city like Chicago or New York or Philly or L.A. That's about the only thing that would put a question mark on what Detroit could have done. I'm sure Tiger fans, just like yourself, and I follow the Tigers also, it's a gut punch because he was the major guy. He was the guy that you went out to watch pitch all the time, just like when Verlander was there. So it's going to be an adjustment. But right now, they're talking about Mize being traded, another pitcher that's a pretty damn good pitcher in the rotation. So we'll find out of what they're going to do in their next step if they're going to start rebuilding once again.
So why do they, and I'll let you go after this, because that was the first trade made, basically. So, the Tigers could have waited, right, till today. So why did they jump on that? Do they feel like that was the best they could get, which seemed really odd?
I know, and that's the other thing, Ingrid. I said the same thing, and you see what Buster Posey's doing. He's kind of holding his cards up, saying, I want more for a rise than what you're offering me. I want more for Robbie Ray. And when these teams start getting into those last few hours, what do you want? What can we do to get this deal done? Yeah. And I would have thought Detroit would have got a little bit more. Don't you think, Ingrid, for three
you better believe
prospects?
It. And they're such a gamble. But you have the history of Scott Harris that we do not have. Right?
Yeah, Scott Harris was here with Farhan as a general manager, learning the position, but he also was in the Major League Baseball front office, so he's got a lot of experience. But I just don't know what the Tiger forecast is. What is he expecting from the Tigers? What are they looking at down the road? What are they trying to do? Are they trying to do a mini rebuild? Because right now he lost the best pitcher in the American League.
Yeah, and if they get rid of Casey Mize, he is really – because our bullpen is terrible. Our bullpen is like the Giants.
Well, Ingrid, next weekend, Ingrid, the Tigers are coming on KNBR, so you'll have to join me and listen to those interviews. But thanks so much, Ingrid. I appreciate the call. All right, we're going to take a quick break. 415-808-KNBR. I'm Bill Laskey. We'll be right back on the Sports Leader.
You're listening to the former Giants righty. It's KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Heard on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR.
Now it's 3-2, and Canning again throws. Swinging. There's a high drive out into deep left center field. Way back there, still going at the wall. Leaping is Merrill, and he makes the catch. And he may have stolen a home run from him, or did he? It's a home run. He came down, and the umpire was signaling out until Merrill finally showed him an empty glove. He went to the wall, he made a leap, and it touched the glove and did not end up in the glove. Over the wall, Basabe has a home run for the second day in a row.
Back on KNBR with Bill Laskey. Basabe getting his second home run, a 3-2 fastball, 96 miles an hour, turning around on Griffin Canning, and he hit that ball 404 feet. And as John Miller said, boy, Jackson Merrill, we thought he had it. I thought he had it. And then when you saw Basabe going around second base, he kind of put his hands out. Do you have it or don't you? And he didn't, and he rounded the bases for his second home run. The other home run came in the eighth inning when Rafael Devers came up in a 2-1 pitch, a sinker, about 93, and he hit it out to left field, 359 feet. His 23rd home run. He's got 258 home runs in his career in the top 5 for a left-hand power hitter. And you know what? That was just brought him a little closer right there. Closer, but not enough as they ended up losing this game 5-4 to the Padres. They've lost 3 straight now, and they came in with San Diego, and they were 4-4, and now they're 4-6, and there's 3 more games left in, I do believe it's in September they play them. September 11th, 12th, and 13th, and that will be at Oracle Park. All right, let's go back to the phone lines, 415-808-KNBR. Let's go out to Napa and talk to Jay. Jay, you're on an extra inning post-game show. How's your Sunday looking, Jay?
It's Jerry.
I'm sorry, Jerry. All right.
That's all right.
Go ahead, Jerry.
It's looking kind of dim after that game today. Adames, how many times are we going to have him come up to bat and not come through? It just makes me sick. And
yeah, he hasn't been producing.
Too.
He has not been producing with runners in scoring position. He got one today. He got a base hit in the 4th inning, but many times he's gone up there striking out or popping up. The swing path, it's always up. You know, he's always trying to launch the ball.
Yeah, we talked about that before. It's like he's trying to hit home run every time he comes up there, and he swings straight up. Why can't they correct that? I don't understand.
Well, they could, but it's up to him to correct it. That's where it really comes down to, Jay. It's the correction of the hitter, and sometimes the hitter just doesn't want to correct it. That's how he feels comfortable swinging. That's how he feels. That's how he's getting the exit velocity and launch, and that's what he loves to do. But so many times you see him hit a fly ball. And today he did it in the second inning, a fly ball to left field. He hit a fly ball in the 6th inning, and he punched out in the 8th inning with a runner on third with 1 out.
Looks like we discovered it. I hope we discovered it, Jim. This kid, I can't pronounce his name, but he hit the home run today.
Yeah, Basabe.
He looks like he's a good ball player.
Yeah, 25 years old. He had some time with Tampa when he was younger. He ended up playing – I got the notes right here. He ended up playing in 2023, 31 games with Tampa, 19 for 87, 5 doubles, a home run. He only hit 218. More of a middle infielder. That's why I was surprised he played third base, but Arise was playing second. The throws from third base, I think he was more worried about getting them there and not throwing them on a little more of a heat on them, because one was over Devers' head and the other one was just a simple ground ball, and he took his time and kind of lofted it over there, and they ended up getting a base hit out of it.
Yeah, luckily the pitcher got him out of that mess. But I thought yesterday, I don't know why he left Smith in there after 3 batters. I thought he should have brought Miller in there to get him out of the inning, but he left him in there.
That ninth inning, I was just a little upset. I was a little upset, Jerry, when he threw 7 straight pitches to Cronenworth. He never threw a ball. He just kept pumping fastball or breaking ball in there, and he was 0-2.
Yeah.
7 pitches before Cronenworth finally got a base hit. He didn't waste a pitch. He didn't try to throw the curveball out of the zone, maybe a slider down his back foot.
And he shook off.
That was the only thing I was upset about.
The rookie catcher, he shook him off the last pitch, and that's what the one Cronenworth muscled into center field. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do if they get rid of Ray. It's going to be scary. We're going to have any starting pitching at all, unless they bring what's his name back, the guy from Tampa Bay that we signed. It's in the bullpen, but he hasn't been very good. Neither is Tyler Malley.
Adrian Hauser. Yeah, Hauser would probably be the one that would jump into rotation. A lot of young arms in AAA. I don't know if they would bring up the Tugboat. Tugboat's down there. Of course, he got picked up from Cleveland.
I'd like to see
Bailey.
him. Why not? Why not?
That's what I said. Why not? It's going to be. I tell you what, Jerry. What's going to happen is Tuesday. This roster will change. If Buster trades some pieces, we'll see a whole new pitching staff, hopefully, and then we'll see what the kids are going to do here in the next 2 months, because that's going to be the roster. You're going to have to see what's going to go on for 2027, and all these players and pitchers, they're going to get opportunities to be in the big leagues, and we'll see if they can perform up to it.
Yeah, we've been talking about how much they got down there. We're going to find out. But I want to let you know you are the best one. You're the best person on the radio and even TV. If you're on TV, that guy with the spelling test, he can go suck an egg. You're the best at what you do, and I just want to let you know that.
Well, Jerry,
I really
appreciate it. I try to bring it out there, Jerry. I try to bring out the pluses and the minuses and what I see, and just like today. Just a real quick story, Jerry. Everybody was saying, "Oh, Landon Roop hasn't been pitching well." That's why I went in and looked at his game logs, and I was kind of surprised with 22 starts. 8 of them were 5 innings or less. 3 of them were 5 innings. So there's 11. And then the other 11 were 6 innings or more. So if you're not talking about a 500 pitcher right there for a young pitcher at 27 years old, he's got to figure out these innings when he gets in trouble. Just like the second inning, all of a sudden he falls off the cliff and he can't throw strikes. And something has to change there. Something has to drastically change with his focus, because the focus is throwing too many pitches, too many 3-ball counts.
Yeah, his mind. He just loses it. I don't know why these pitching coaches can't help him, or somebody's got to get him. Somebody's got to get his attention.
He's got good stuff. You and I both said that, Jerry. I mean, he's got quality big league stuff, 4-pitch mix, a nice changeup, a curveball, sinker, fastball. He's trying to throw a cutter to add another pitch, but he gets in his blank out, where he can't throw a strike. 1 ball, 2 ball, 3-0. 1 ball, 2 ball, 3-0. He gets behind 8 3-ball counts today. And that's what I have to say to him is you got to focus a little bit more. Once you start getting behind, he's got to focus in throwing more strikes.
I kind of like this kid Susak. I don't know about Kavanaugh, though, the catchers.
Well, they're both young. I think Kavanaugh really hit the ball well. He's come through the minor leagues real well. Susak, of course, they picked him up in Rule 5. Boy, he had a real nice game yesterday. I think he's getting a lot more confidence with the pitchers. Logan Webb said he called his game against Milwaukee. He was very impressed of how he set up hitters. That's what I would love to see these pitchers do. Give the calls to the catcher, and let's see if you can generate a little more confidence with him. You can shake him off, but I just didn't like Logan Webb calling his game back in the day when he was struggling. After June to July month, he was getting behind, and he was calling all his pitches. I just think that's too much for a pitcher to try to collect his thoughts, understand the hitter. You got to have that catcher helping you.
Yes, you know that. You did it for a long time. You know how that goes. That's why I enjoy talking to you, because you know what's going on. You've been there. You've done it. That's
you just watch it. I watch it differently, and I just question a lot of things. I'm just like, what is the catcher doing here? If you're 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 ball, and I keep going back to it, what is the catcher doing? Call timeout. Go out there. Bob Brenly used to come out there and bark at me. The first guy was Milt May. He used to come out there and just chew on my ear. Are you afraid to throw a strike? Well, let's challenge this hitter. Those are the things that get you fired up, because you're like, hold on here. No, I'm getting fired. I'm firing you up. Let's go. And Landon Roop's got that in him. We know that. He gets fired up a lot. You see him talking to himself a lot on the mound, too. But, he's still young. He's still young. And last year he got hurt. This year, hopefully he's got 22 starts right now. Hopefully he'll get 30 and learn from it. But, Jerry, there's a lot of things with these young players and pitchers on this team. They got to get better. And sometimes they're gravitating going worse. They have to gravitate in learning a little more and then doing something different in these games. And we'll find out, Jerry, but the trade deadline's tomorrow at 3 o'clock, and we'll find out what this roster is going to look like on Tuesday. But thanks for the call, Jerry. Have a great Sunday. Let's go out to Gilroy and talk to Roger. Roger, you're on an Extra Inning post-game show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Bill. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing good. Just, I was hoping they would at least 2-2 against San Diego. They played a good game yesterday coming back, and today they just got behind too far. And this team is definitely a hard team to come back on, the Padres as well as the Giants coming back. And you know this as well as I do, Roger. They don't score too many runs after the 6th inning.
Yeah, no, and to be honest, this season, and I think, I'm hopeful for the future with the amount of offensive talent that's in the minor league organization. This season's a lost cause. Who knows what's going to happen next year or the year after. But I did want to speak to, again, concerns about Major League Baseball economics at large. And I know you're a Players Association person, having been a player and threw 3 strikes, and I respect that. And I get that there's owners who have their agenda, but there are fans, and we have our agenda. And in 1994, we lost a World Series. The Montreal Expos were in line to be maybe their only World Series ever, and it didn't happen. The Cleveland Indians at that time were also in line to maybe make the playoffs, win the World Series that they've never won. Tony Gwynn was on his own historic march, and the fans lost, Bill. And I am outraged at the fact that what's about to happen, and it's coming, and you know it. Stop.
And you're right, Roger. It's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. And the players will not have
outraged.
A salary cap. They will not have a salary cap because they know how much the owners are making. They know what these organizations are worth. They're going to try to do different things in arbitration. It will hurt the fans, and when it comes down to it, it always hurts the fans, but it's really a business side of the owners against the players. That's the problem when fans can't get in the middle of it. That's where the line goes in the sand. The players are performing as entertainers, and the owners have the ability to hire and fire.
But there are players like Jose Ramirez who see the better of the world, their city, and the game, and will sign a generational contract, and do what's right for himself, for the game, and the fans.
You're right.
But there are not enough
I really admire him. I really admire him what he did with Cleveland.
Well,
I
Bill,
really admired him how he did his contract.
You should admire him because he's the only example I have of a person who understands his place in the game. He's not an agent. He's a great player. He understands that he is making as much money as he ever needs. He is going to carry Cleveland wherever they may or may not go. But a guy like Skubal is going to just turn his face and go to where the money is. And that sickens me.
Yeah, but, do you ever think of it, Roger, if you were a player, would you ever think of, going for the money? If you played 6 years and you're a free agent and it's time that you get paid, do you ever think that way?
Bill, I'm a high school teacher. No, I don't. I'm happy. I make more than enough money, and I share what I don't, need with other people. I'm not greedy.
I admire that. I really do admire that, Roger, because teachers need to be paid a lot more than what they do. You guys do so much for kids and how you mentor kids and all different things that you do as a teacher. I commend you. But when you're looking at sports, that's what players and owners always fight over. It's the dollar sign. That's the bad part of the business of any sport, not just baseball. And you see maybe 5% of the players making these enormous amounts of money, and you have the rest of them that are making good money too. Don't get me wrong. These players are making a lot of money now compared to when I played in the 80s and 90s, no question. You know, when we were back in the 80s and 90s, $100,000 was a lot of money for us. And now you're looking at $1 million to $1.5 million for a rookie is just unbelievable to me. So I understand what you're saying as a fan, but when you look at the baseball side of it and the business side of it, it really is players against owners. And that's really where it all comes down to. And the fans always get hurt by that.
So you say players versus owners and fans are just residual damage.
It's tough, but what can the fans do? What literally can the fans do for the owners and the players? Strike? Can the fans just not show up? I mean, it is an entertainment, right? It's entertainment when it comes down to it. Sports is entertainment. Fans come to watch games. It's not just baseball. It's football. It's basketball. It's hockey. Fans come out for the entertainment of really watching players that are entertainers do the best thing that they can do. And that's what we get excited to watch. We watch it on TV. We listen to it on radio. We get excited to watch these players play at the highest level.
Why have football, hockey, and basketball found a way better system to make it competitively, equal across the board for teams to compete?
Yep. Well, baseball is just being a black hole right now because it is going to happen. I'm going to tell you, there is going to be a strike. There will be a lockout. This isn't going to get over by November 1st. And the owners are already popping off saying there may not even be a season next year. So you're talking about 30 owners already are thinking about what's going to happen in 2027. And this is what they want. And the players, I believe, will not accept it. So it is going to be a lockout. There is going to be damage here in baseball. I'm saddened by it. I was in 3 strikes. We fought for player money. We fought for player compensation. We fought for pensions. And now these players are making so many millions of dollars, and there's so many players back in my day that are scuffling. We make a good pension, no question, but these players now that are making millions upon millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars per game, that's what we are fought for, and now I wish they would help the older players. I wish they would help the guys that were Hall of Famers that didn't make much money. We have a good pension, but I think it could be better. But we'll find out, Roger. But I totally agree what you're saying about the fans, and I'm so sorry to hear that. But, that's the issue when fans get hurt by it, and the fans pay to come watch the games, and the fans don't have to if they don't want to come. But I appreciate your time. Let's go to LJ. He's in San Francisco. LJ, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Sunday. How are you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Laskey. Pleasure. That call just kind of took the wind out of my sails because I do fear it's going to be a year lost to the lockout. But anyway, for today's game,
it's difficult. It's going to be difficult, LJ, because as an ex-player and alumni player, I'm not in there. I'm not understanding some of the logic that they're going to battle against. I know they want a player compensation. They want to control compensation for the players. That is not going to happen. That's what we fought for in the 3 strikes I was in. There's not going to be a cap for players' compensation, and it's that 5% that make the billions of dollars. I say billions because it seems like it when you're seeing these large amounts of money that these players make in free agency, and then you start looking at the other 70 to 75%. They still make good money, don't get me wrong, but I really think the baseball world is going to go back into that black hole again.
Yeah, that 94 strike was tough, especially with the season Matt Williams was having. But for today's game, I'm a disciple of Hank Greenwald's, and he always said if you're observant enough, you'll see something you haven't seen before at a game, and watching it, listening to it, be at it. And I don't remember a game where both teams had the third baseman batting ninth. That was just an oddity to me, but I really wanted to call about.
I'm looking at my scorecard. I just saw that. That's a good one. That's so true, too.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Basabe and Song, both of them batting ninth, and both young players too. Song's 29, Basabe's 25. Both young players in the big leagues. Interesting.
And then I really want to talk about the signability of the two high school kids we drafted, Bowman and Waster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take a lot to get those two kids in the fold, but the Bowman kid looks like he might be something really special. And Wachter, his dad pitched in the majors. He might be able to get to the majors quick being a reliever. I'd love to see those two with the Giants for a long time and doing well. What do you think?
Yeah, the high school players, they'll take their time. That's why San Jose is a low A ball and then Eugene's high A ball. That's where you're going to see a lot of the guys get moved up, maybe for a little bit of the season at the end if they do. But they'll go to, Papago. They'll do rookie ball, as I call it. They call it Arizona orange and black. I think that's how they call it. But that's where everything starts. That's where they start learning the game. And you start looking at all these top-line pitchers. They'll go down there and get into a structure of now you're a professional pitcher, so this is the structure you're going to get on. And when you look at the college pitchers, they pitch once a week. That was it. They'd throw Friday and they would throw the next Friday. And that's where they're going to learn to throw every fifth day.
They're going to want to go to college instead of signing because we haven't signed either one.
Yeah, you did. You signed a number 2. You signed a pitcher. The number 2 pick was picked up. He signed.
Well,
yes,
I was just worried about them getting all that NIL money and all that stuff. So as long as they sign, I am happy. And
yeah, the one player I do believe he was a middle infielder. He ended up going to Georgia, and he said he made more money from the NIL money to go to Georgia than he did with the signing bonus. But when you look at some of the guys, when you look at Jackson Flora, he made big money. Of course, he took $1 million less than what his slot was. And that was the guy that I'm really impressed with.
Rare.
Yeah, he's going to be a good one, no doubt, from Santa Barbara. He was at the homestand, really a good kid. He was talking to Kruk and Kipe up in the booth about different grips of his pitches. I just love that. He was way ahead he was right ahead of everything.
No, we got lucky drafting him. And finally, of the 3 big contracts, you think there's a possibility at least one of those 3 could get moved tomorrow? Possibly Devers.
I hope. Chapman's not going to be moved because he's still on the IL unless somebody looks at his physical,
right.
and say, yeah, he'll be fine.
Contract.
Yeah, Adames is going to be hard to move. His name was thrown around. Devers' name today was thrown around earlier. The Padres were inquiring about him, but Buster, said no to that because they wanted to pay a lot of that contract down. I don't think the Giants are going to put $20 to $30 million on these contracts when they're owed over $100 and $200 million. I just don't see the Giants doing that. They signed them, and Buster wanted them, and I think that's the way they're going to go moving forward with it. But I'm right there with you. I would love to see one of the 3 get moved to open up a slot, maybe, with Devers and Eldridge at first base. I'd love to see Bryce Eldridge play first every day, but again, you got Devers there, and Eldridge is your DH, and 21 years old. I don't think you want to see him being a DH for the next 5 years.
100%.
LJ, thanks for the call. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Let's go down to San Diego and talk to Doug. Doug, you're on with Bill Laskey on a Sunday. What's going on, Doug?
Hi, Bill. It's Doug. I got a little
How are you?
point here. Went to today's game. I noticed a couple things about Willy Adames. First, when the players are warming up pre-game, I don't see Adames out there. He's not warming up with the team. I don't know what's going on with that. And then I notice he's on deck. He's over here talking to the fans. And we're going, what's going on here? Why are you talking to the fans, When he's out on the field at second base, he's chatting up with the other team. I just want to know, why isn't your head in the game?
The focus has been a lot of issues. A lot of fans have been calling Doug and talking about it, and the hugs at second base with Machado, the joking around with every runner that comes out there. The focus has to be about the game, not with the opposing team, and it just seems it's getting out of hand more and more. And the biggest one, of course, was in L.A. talking to Mookie Betts, and he takes off running. He didn't know how many outs there were, and he gets doubled off. That was really embarrassing. But he really hasn't changed since then. There's just too much goofing off, and I think that's one thing I'm hoping that Buster kind of cleans up. And I brought this up yesterday on a post-game show. The colors of the uniform are orange and black. They're not lavender. They're not any other color that he wants to put on. The history of the Giants should be orange and black. If they want to do the City Connect on Tuesday, I'm fine with that. But lavender is not part of the Giants uniform, and that's what I get upset at. Being an ex-player, being with the Giants for over 25 years, I think that is the history that needs to be corrected.
Yeah, I agree. I think Buster and the office need to get it cleaned up. The coaches, they need to get out there, get the players in the game. And then maybe we.
And sometimes, Doug, it really comes, and nothing against Tony Vitello, but it really comes back to the manager about him changing the players on the field. Quit talking to him. Quit communicating with him. Focus on the game. If you want to talk to somebody, talk to your teammate. Go out and talk to the pitcher a little bit more. Focus on being a leader on the field and not the mayor of baseball. And that has to be changed. Yeah. I don't like that. In my day, of course, I'm old school baseball. Frank Robinson, Danny Ozark, even Jimmy Davenport, you didn't talk to players. That was the enemy. That was the team you were going against. You want to be friends, you take them out to lunch. You want to be friends, you take them out to dinner. But on the field, you want to be focused with the 9 players on the field, and I think that has to come out a little bit better with some of these players.
Agreed. Thanks for taking my call, Bill.
Yep, Doug, I appreciate you bringing that up again, too. I appreciate that. Let's go to Dwayne. He's in Stockton. Dwayne, what's going on a Sunday, buddy?
Hey, Big Bill. How you doing, man?
Oh, a little fired up tonight, but that's okay. This team needs to be fired up as I am. But, the concentration has to get a little bit better. The balk from Keaton Wynn yesterday and a couple of things that happened with Basabe throwing the ball to first base. Come on, this is the big leagues, man. You got to clean this up.
And, brother, it's been a whole season like that. We spent a whole season like that. So, yeah, I kind of think I feel like you, man, because I've been in my feelings a little bit. I listened to a phone call that you had the other night with Rick from Hayward, bro. And it was Friday night, and you guys really hit, bro. Like, you guys caught a vibe and brought me back, bro. I think a lot of people felt that way. It got real nostalgic when you guys were talking. You went on for a while, and we all loved it. But it made me think about things like this week in baseball. And it made me think about the Saturday game of the week with Joe Garagiola. I even went back and was thinking about how I used to love to watch Jim Palmer call games. You know what I mean? So it brought me way back. So I want to make this an OG call for the OGs. And I want to mention a few. Watchdog, Mo from San Francisco, John from South City, Big Al from Chico, especially the homie Bar Fighter, bro. Bar Fighter, I'll go back to back with you anytime, brother. You know what I'm saying? I'll ride with you.
Yeah, good people, man. Dwayne, just like yourself, man. I hit you up too, Dwayne. There's good people that call in the show. There's good hearts of the souls of the Giants fans, and I think we're all in that same boat. We want to see what Buster Posey is going to do here in less than 24 hours and what he's going to bring to make this team better.
I love this, man. I love how you do your show. I love how everybody's still engaged because we all love baseball. But I'm going to tell you, something like this is really hard on the OGs, bro. Because, I think it hurts a little bit more because we want to wake up and we want to know the game counts. We want to be in a playoff push. There's nothing like a pennant race. When you wake up and we need that game when you check the other teams that we're fighting against for the wild card. And it's cold because there's a lot of teams involved in the wild card race right now. We're not one of them, bro, from a lot of different reasons. And, the tight baseball hasn't been a thing all year, and that's why they can't win 4 in a row. Have they swept anybody yet? I mean, how have we gone this far without sweeping somebody? It's a lot of things that just are making me crazy, man. So I just really want to thank Rick because Rick, touched me the other night. And I wanted to mention all the OGs, and also all the homies on YouTube and everything, man, because we still in here, and we're going to see what happens. But it still hasn't been a trade. So I don't know, man. It's just a matter of.
We got to wait and find out, Dwayne. That's all we can do. It's going to be moved. They're all traveling in Texas right now, and their game tomorrow is at 5:05, and the trade deadline ends at 5 o'clock Texas time, 3 o'clock here. So this whole team's going to be in that clubhouse finding out what's going to happen. And if they're flying to Texas right now, as they are from San Diego, there might be some trades before they even land. It's going to get fast. It's going to be fluent. And Buster's going to make some moves. It's just who is he waiting for to get, and what are the prospects, and what is he going to give up, and what is he going to do to make this pitching staff better? How is he going to change that bullpen? Because, as you know, Vita Blue and I used to always say, pitching, pitching, pitching. You don't ever have enough pitching, and right now the Giants do not.
You're all over it, Bill. We're going to see what happens, but I want to thank everybody for holding me down. I was a little bent out of shape, 50 games left, and we're out of it. But once again, thanks to everybody, man. Have a good Sunday, Bill.
Dwayne, thanks for the call. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Let's go out to Berkeley and talk to Andrea. Andrea, how are you today? A tough Sunday loss, but we'll see what they do in Texas tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping for the Sunday fun day, but maybe next time. So I agree. Yeah, I agree with your hit by pitcher that was intentional. I looked up Basabe. He was born August 26, 1996, a Virgo. And the pitcher that hit him, Adrian Morjon, February 27th, 1999. So astrological opposites, Virgo for Basabe, Pisces for Adrian Morjon. And it was just like, he hit a home run. I mean, he made some errors in the field. He's, he'll get better. But
well, it was just, I don't think there were errors. I think it was just lackadaisical about throwing from third to first. He was more of a middle infielder in Sacramento. He played a lot of shortstop and second base. And I think a couple times he felt that he had more time than what he had. In the first throw, when he threw it over Devers' head, he just kind of lobbed it over there, and he threw it too high. And the second one, I think he thought he had more time, and he should have thrown a little faster, a little harder, and the runner beat it out. And I think those are the two mental mistakes he made. On the hitting side, 2 home runs in 2 days. That's not bad.
Right, we'll take that. And a double yesterday. I mean, he's really hitting very well, and he's kind of that spark that the team needs. So we like that, and hopefully he'll be okay. May the baseball gods and goddesses bless. I mean, that was like the 9th inning, and they hit him, and he, smartly left the game. So, Tony Vitello said, he'll just, keep an eye on him, and hopefully he'll feel better. But that was really unfortunate to get someone who's really the catalyst of the team to get him hit by a pitch. So, again, I do think that was intentional.
I felt the same way, Andre. I really did, and I think John Miller said it too. You just don't throw 100 miles an hour and inside like he did. There was no need. There was 2 outs of that inning, and he wasn't throwing inside that much at all. Everything was change-ups away, breaking ball down, and he threw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And that might have been like the double that he hit off Miller. Maybe he was just a little upset Mason Miller gave up the double to this rookie more or less, and then he hits a home run again in this game in the 5th inning. And maybe he just took it upon himself because he was a screamer. Every time he got 3 outs, you saw him screaming off the mound.
Yeah.
And sometimes karma comes back to him, Andrea. Karma might come back to him when things like that, because pitchers, when they think they're bigger and better, things happen right back at them.
Yes, well said, Bill. Karma, might just as well come back to him. So, we'll just put out good positive energy for Basabe. And
let's hope it's not a bad injury. They said Susan Slusher wrote that he had a good pack of ice on his forearm. It wasn't on his elbow or her wrist, because if he had his wrist, it would have probably been broken. That was a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. But just think about that hitting your forearm. I mean, it's going to hurt. They'll probably take x-rays on it and see how bad it is. But, man, I tell you, you start getting hit like that, Andre, it's not as easy as you think when these guys run down to first base after they get drilled in the head or their back or their rear end. Those things sting. They stay with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they took him out. I mean, it's the bottom of the 9th and, top of the 9th. No need to, push the tides there. Just get him out as soon as possible and have him heal up. And he's young. He will. But that was just, like you said, karma, not a very cool thing to do to someone.
It is. Well, we'll find out, Andrea, tomorrow, 3 o'clock. I'll be doing a post-game tomorrow, so we'll be able to dissect the trades, figure out what this team did, and move on from there. But I appreciate your time on a Sunday. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Andrea.
Yes, great show, Bill. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Coming up next, I talked to my buddy from Utah, Jordan Buscarini. He does a lot of things in Utah, following the trade deadline, finding a lot of the prospective trades coming on. That's going to be on next. And then later in the show, I sat down with Ryan Klesko. Of course, he played 1 year here with the Giants. Most of the years, he played 8 years with the Braves, 7 years with the San Diego Padres, and really, really a nice interview. That'll be later in the show. But coming up next, I sit down and we're going to talk some trades. We're going to talk about probable trades, some teams that are in the hunt for Giants players, as Jordan Buscarini and I talk a little bit more about the trade deadline. That's coming up right here on the Extra Inning Postgame Show on KNBR.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys. Sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with former Giants right-hander Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Hear him on your Apple HomePod by saying play KNBR. Play KNBR.
Back on the Extra Inning post-game show with Bill Laskey. Giants lose a tough one in San Diego today, 5-4. 5 runs, 8 hits for the San Diego Padres. 4 runs, 7 hits for the San Francisco Giants. They win the first game of a 4-game series, and they drop the next 3. So on to Texas. And the Texas Rangers are struggling right now also. They've lost 5 in a row. They're 2.5 games out of first place under Houston. And the Astros all of a sudden got hot. They're 9-1 in their last 10. Texas are 2.5 back, and they are 58-57, or 58 and 57, 28 and 25 at home. So now the Giants will be flying to Texas tomorrow. First pitch, Logan Webb's on the hill. First pitch today, tomorrow at 5:05. All right, joining me, my good friend out in Utah, Jordan Buscarini. Jordan, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Bill. I appreciate you having me on again, and a really interesting time as we get to the trade deadline, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was just going to ask you right off the bat, did you think there would be more trades made? I know you follow it very well, and it's always that final day. It always seems like it's that final 3 hours, and then the last hour, it seems like the ticker's going so fast. There's so many fast trades being made. What did you think of the trade so far?
I'm a little bit confused by what's going on with the New York Mets. I expected a little bit more of a fire sale. I know we can get in and talk about a couple of the deals that they have made up to this point in time. I mean, obviously moving on from Freddie Peralta. I know the last time I was on with you, we talked about the idea of it being a massive fire sale in New York. We haven't seen that quite yet. Let's see what they do moving forward. Another team in the National League that we talked about was the Cincinnati Reds. It's been quiet on that front. But it seems like the majority of the movement, it's coming from the American League. And I think that that's where it's most interesting at this particular time, because obviously in the National League, with the news that broke last night, we know who the front runner is in the NL. But Bill, as we sit here at the beginning of August, I really don't know what to make of the American League. And I feel like there's a few teams that can make some hay here in the next few hours.
I think the same way, and now with Texas losing 5 in a row, now they're talking, could they be sellers? Houston, again, they came after Logan Webb. They were really trying to build off another starting pitcher, even though Buster Posey said Logan Webb was off the table. I guess they made a pretty big package for Buster, for Logan, and he refused it. It seems they're looking for another starting pitcher. Boy, they have gotten hot real quick, Jordan. 9-1 in their last 10. What have you seen out of the Astros?
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? And I think it kind of helps a little bit. You know, this is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from what we've seen with the Boston Red Sox, because both of us really like that National League East. I think it does help when you get to this, this stretch in the season. The Mariners have been a big disappointment. The A's, who I was extremely high on at one particular time, they have fallen off pace, right? I think it does help that when you take a look at where that division is at, there's a team that can kind of rise right to the very top, and I think that's where the Astros are right now. But again, it falls in line in the American League, right? Same thing with the Boston Red Sox. It's another team that you would expect to be massive buyers over the next few hours for that very reason. It's just wide open in that league. And I think if we look at the National League, and I'm sure we'll get into this in a bit, right now I feel comfortable pinpointing 4 teams maximum that can win the National League. I honestly can't say the same thing in the American League with as much confidence.
Yeah, well, let's just jump in the National League right now. Atlanta's starting to play better. They've won 5 in a row. They're 7-3. They seem that they're looking for starting pitchers. It seems like everybody's looking for starting pitcher. We always talk about this, Jordan, every year. Pitching. You either build your bullpen up or you look for starting pitching to bulk it up a little bit more. Catching is another big plus. Everybody's looking for catching all of a sudden this year. But I look at Atlanta right now. They're 8 games over Philly. Philly are really falling fast. Miami also is falling fast. So you really got Atlanta opening up. They're 8 games up. Milwaukee, I'm still thinking they're going to make some moves too. The Cubs are starting to play a little bit better. They're looking for starting pitching. And all of a sudden the Pirates are making trades. What do you think about the Pirates all of a sudden getting hot?
I think it's fun. This is a fun conversation for San Francisco Giant crews, right? Because you know Camilo Doval. You guys know Camilo Doval better than just about anyone, right? Yeah. The Pirates going into the trade deadline, they had more bullpen losses on the season than they had saves. That is remarkable when you put that in context. I think this is a pretty good team. I think it's a pretty good ball club, but they obviously have a bullpen problem. And we know that Doval's first appearance in a Pirates uniform wasn't great. Kind of falls in line with what we've seen from this team.
Didn't go well today.
No, it did not. So, was that the right move? Yeah, I think it was the right move because I don't know, when you take a look at bullpen arms, who's really available, who can bolster that. Is there someone that can put you over the top? They need help coming out of the bullpen. I'm curious as to your thoughts on the Doval trade, because in my mind, it was kind of a low risk, high reward type thing. Maybe it's a change of scenery. Maybe it's exactly what they needed. Didn't go well today, but Bill, I mean, is that enough for you, or what else can they do? Because, I mean, again, I look at the youth of this team. I love where the Pirates are sitting. They have got to figure out, and Santana has not had a good season, right? You look at Doval now coming over and struggling day one. What do you do to fix the bullpen issues on limited time now and with limited resources? That's the other aspect here.
Yeah, Jordan, I think the name that's coming out is, like you say, the New York Mets, Luke Weaver. That was a name that I've been reaching. The Pirates are talking about. The Cubs are also talking about him, an arm out of the bullpen. I'd love him to come over here with the Giants, an experienced arm out of the bullpen. That's another name that could help that bullpen. But Doval and inconsistency, that's what got him traded. He was a closer here. He was an all-star, National League all-star, did very well, and all of a sudden the inconsistencies happened. He ended up going back to AAA. And then next thing you know, Ryan Walker was our closer, and Ryan Walker again's in AAA. The closing position out here has been a big question mark for many years. And I think that's why last year when the Yankees came looking for Doval, he made the move. Buster made the move. Got a lot of good prospects. We're seeing them right now. Some of them are in the big leagues with Rodriguez. And I think with Doval, the New York lights, I think it really hurt him. I think the fans, he listened to too much of the fans. And next thing you know, the inconsistency started with the Yankees. At one time, I was reading that they may have DFA'd him. And they ended up trading with the Pittsburgh Pirates. A little low-key team. We'll find out. He's still got the electric stuff, Jordan. He still throws in the high 90s, got the wipeout slider. But when it comes down to it, between the ears, he just gives it up too much.
Well, and I think the Yankees made an even bigger deal today in grabbing Luis Garcia from Washington. I know that was a team you and I talked about the last time I was on just a couple of weeks ago, talking about the Nationals and what they are going to do. There's a lot of youth on this team. There are a lot of players that we like. We talked about C.J. Abrams. Turns out that it's Luis Garcia that New York ends up landing. And I really like this deal today for New York. My only question is, when you take a look at Luis Garcia, where does he play? Because you have Ben Rice, you have Paul Goldschmidt. We know Giancarlo Stanton's going to eat up a lot of that bats at the designated hitter spot. It almost seems like they're going to have to move Jazz Chisholm to put Luis Garcia in the lineup every day. But I think this was a phenomenal move by the Yankees. I love this move, as a matter of fact. And I think if you take a look at the player progression from Luis Garcia over the past 3-4 years, he's actually turned into kind of a power hitter, which is not what we expected in 2020. It was around that same vibe. You and I were talking a lot about, Juan Soto at that time, right, where they were just popping out these teenage phenoms. And Luis Garcia kind of had that vibe around him. Didn't really live up to that hype. But, Bill, over the last 2 years, he's really changed the type of approach that he has offensively. I think it's a great move for New York. I really do.
Yeah, 23 home runs, 76 RBIs, and he's really come together here in the last couple of years. 81 home runs in 6 years with the Nationals. But just now, Jordan, a move was just made. The Cubs have acquired Kevin Gausman from Toronto. Sources tell Kevin Rosenthal, he just put that out there. Kevin Gausman was really touched coming out of the game the other night with Toronto. He loved to stay with the Blue Jays, and he knew his time was coming to an end, and the Cubs went and picked him up. I think that's a good move for the Cubs in strengthening that rotation. Your thoughts on Gausman going to the Cubs?
Yeah, again, this is a team in the National League that's trying to play catch-up at the moment with really 3 or 4 heavy hitters. And I guess we can say 3 because, as you alluded to, Philly has kind of hit this August block, this late July block. And so you look at the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Brewers, everyone's trying to play catch-up to get to that spot. Bill, the Cubs have been fantastic offensively throughout this year. But the reason why we have seen this team go through multiple 10-game losing streak or winning streaks and a 10-game losing streak, it's because of the consistency out of the starting rotation. And I think it's a sad moment for Toronto because this is a team that was literally inches away from a World Series championship just in October. Inches.
Yeah, so true.
And you're giving away Gosman today, going to a location where I think he's going to play an immediate impact. But, you know, the Cubs to me are one of those sleeper squads. We know what they're capable of doing. I wouldn't want to play this team in a 5 or 7 game series, not based off what we've seen and with the firepower they have offensively. Excellent move for the Chicago Cubs.
Jordan Buscarini joining me on KNBR. Of course, he does a lot of sports out in Utah. Another move that happened yesterday, the White Sox picked up Castillo from Seattle and also took about $30 million with that payroll. I was very surprised how much was still owed to Luis Castillo. But here's another guy that really has not pitched that well in the last couple of years. This year, over a 5-point earned run average. And I think the White Sox are looking to possibly maybe a change of uniform, maybe a different way of pitching with the White Sox may get a second life in them. What do you think about that move?
I love the fact that the White Sox are, in a sense, I mean, I guess by these standards, we're saying they're going all in, right? Especially taking on that contract. Didn't give up a lot. Sir Anthony Dominguez, Nolan Jones, Boston Smith. That's essentially what they give up. You look at Luis Castillo, and it's maybe this is someone that can help them in this playoff push. I would hope. I mean, as far as the Mariners are concerned, 6-man rotation. You have Kate Anderson is in the minors. I guess they didn't need Castillo. And so it's one of those rare occasions where I can take a look at two teams on that playoff bubble or that playoff push and say, maybe this helps both causes here, because really there's not a need for Castillo right now in Seattle. And as you alluded to, the White Sox are taking on that contract. So it seems like a win-win. I am very, very happy to see the White Sox in this state, because it seems like you and I always talk about two really, really bad teams when you were out on my show, the White Sox and the Rockies. And the White Sox are now distancing themselves from Colorado. It's for the better. I mean, 2 years ago, we couldn't have dreamed that the White Sox would make a move like this while taking on the full salary. It's great for baseball in that sense, and I also believe it is a deal that helps out both teams. I was fine with this deal.
Jordan, you follow the trade market very well. Do you think Luis Arraez will end up in Tampa? It seems like that's the team circling around him, and that's a perfect position for him. The Phillies are also talking about him. Where do you think Luis Arraez fits into a new team?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of different places where you could really put him. I think you just named two of them. But, let's talk about Atlanta here for a moment, okay? I don't know what the fit would necessarily be, but they've been looking for middle infield help literally all season long. And I'm going to relate this back to what I just said a few moments ago about the Yankees acquiring Luis Garcia. Where do you put him, right? There's so many question marks as to where he is actually going to play. Atlanta has to do something with middle infield. And I don't know that Arraez is necessarily the right choice. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying you've got to start looking for a piece where you can at least maneuver what you have, because there's a glaring hole for them right now in middle infield. Personally, I would love the Arraez fit in Tampa Bay. I really love what they've done already, going out and getting Freddie Peralta. I thought it was an aggressive move. I think it's one that's going to pay dividends the back half of this season. I'm sure we'll talk about that in just a moment. But to see a team like Tampa being buyers at this particular moment says a lot, again, to just how open the American League really is. And so a couple of teams in the AL that you could look at saying it's a good place for him. Somehow, some way, Bill, I want to see Atlanta fix their infield situation, particularly in the middle infield spot. I don't know if it's C.J. Abrams. I don't know if it's acquiring someone that has versatility where you can maneuver some of your own players around. But to me, that's a team that really has to make a move here in the next few hours. And you know what? There's another guy, right, that I'm sure we're going to talk about in San Francisco. It's not just Arraez that's going to be on the deadline, or going to be on the block for San Francisco. You got a couple of names, and I know another one that you think would fit nicely in Atlanta.
Yeah, you start thinking about Robbie Ray, and of course that's a name that he's just been pitching lights out and under 1.4 in run average. I mean, he's just been so superior since June. and you just don't know why somebody hasn't picked him up yet. A left-handed starter, 34 years old, end of his contract. The Giants also said that they would be happy to pick up some of the money that's left on his contract as a free agent at the end of the year. We just don't know where he could fit in. Now, with Gausman going to the Cubs, Robbie Ray and Luis Arraez both were a combo going to Tampa. Now that Peralta's there, I don't think he's going to go to Tampa. I just don't know where Robbie Ray fits in. What have you felt about Robbie Ray, and where could he fit in any kind of rotation?
He has been up and down, right, throughout this season, but when he's been good, he's been really, really good. And I think as far as the pitching market was concerned, Skubal was the first domino that really needed to fall as far as some of the big names. And now that we know Skubal is on his way to L.A., right? We saw him in Dodger Blue tonight. We saw Freddie Peralta. He's already been moved. Again, I think pitching is kind of the main thing at this particular time at the deadline, and everybody's got to kind of counter what L.A. is doing. So let's take a look at the heavy hitters. What does Chicago go out and do? Well, they go out and get Gausman. My question is, why not Robbie Ray in Chicago, especially when we take a look at the asking price? Why would the Cubs not be interested in Robbie Ray, Bill?
Well, I would think Cubs, but I was really leaning to the White Sox. The White Sox need starting pitching, and that could be another move that they could go get. Robbie Ray is a consistent pitcher from the left side. He's got through 6-7 innings a lot. He's gone deep into games. He's had a couple games where he's walked a few guys, but on the other end, a 4-pitch mix, he's on there consistently. That's why I'm just wondering if maybe Buster's holding on to him for a little bit more coming out of some of these teams when it gets down to the wire by 3 o'clock Pacific Coast time tomorrow, and what he can grab for a Robbie Ray. Same thing with Luis Arraez. Those are the two headliners here with the Giants, Jordan. And you have Elliot Ramos and a couple other bullpen arms. JT Brubaker, Hedges maybe picked up as veteran guys in the bullpen. But I'm just kind of complex with Robbie Ray. Why hasn't someone went and snagged him? Because he is a good arm for any rotation.
No question. No, there's no question about it. And again, just looking at some of the other moves, I think there's always reactions to actions, right? And so someone in the National League is going to really have to give up maybe a little bit more to keep pace with what LA did. Because if you take a look at that rotation, it's a cheat code. The idea that now you can look at Glasnow when he comes back, you could look at Glasnow as being a bullpen piece in the playoffs to eat up middle innings. Can you believe that? I mean, my goodness. The other thing to note out of the Dodger deal last night, they kept Emmett Sheehan, who hasn't had a great year, but they didn't have to give him up to get Skubal in that deal. And so I'm looking at National League teams, specifically Milwaukee, specifically Atlanta, to bolster, because right now, Bill, I honestly think without Chicago making one more drastic move in the rotation, Atlanta and Milwaukee have got to be the two teams in the National League to really pay attention to. And I love the idea, once again, as you mentioned with Houston, they have a golden opportunity in the American League. Things have opened up. Why not Houston getting involved in what's going down? When you take a look at Houston's starting rotation, it doesn't necessarily put fear in me over the course of a 7-game set. It just doesn't.
And I think, Jordan, I think that's one of the reasons why they went knocking on the door for Logan Webb, an experienced ace of a staff, a guy that eats innings. And Buster's Posey said, no, we're not trading him. He's going to be our foundation here. But, Houston and any other team says, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see what you really want for him. And Buster's very stern about it. Logan Webb's not going anywhere. A few more minutes with Jordan Buscarini. What are you going to think the big moves are going to be tomorrow? That's what I want to know, Jordan. What do you think is going to be moved? What do you think could possibly help a couple of these teams in the National League?
Okay, so as we started this segment, you mentioned catching, right? And again, that is the one position where a lot of teams can be helped. I look at Colorado and I look at Hunter Goodman and say that might be the most effective name on the market right now for teams that need someone behind home plate. He has been absolutely phenomenal. And while I have praised the Colorado Rocky front office for doing things differently, I think we have to look at the situation from a realistic standpoint and say that a team that needs help behind the plate should be very active in conversations with the Rockies to try to pull Hunter Goodman away. Now, he was scratched today. I know that was not necessarily because of a trade, so they say. But what do we always say, Bill? Where there's smoke, there's fire. To me, That is the
Sure
number
is.
one name that I believe teams need to be looking for that need help at catcher. Hunter Goodman is the name that you need to go out and try to find a way to pry from Colorado.
Jordan, you follow the Dodgers a lot, and I know you do, and you're a big Dodger fan. Do you think the Dodgers are done? Do you think there's still something up their sleeve?
I don't think they should be done. I don't think they should be because, again, I'm looking at the rotation, and as I mentioned a moment ago, Glasnow, Sheehan, I mean, your middle relief, Wroblewski's been fantastic this year. Snell has looked good in his rehab assignments, so you seem to be you couldn't ask for a better rotation. However, if we go back to last year, this was a locked and loaded Dodger team. And they were really one flub from Philly away from going the distance in that series. They were inches away from falling to Toronto. They didn't play great baseball throughout the postseason. Right. They were vulnerable in a couple of those series. True. And if they get comfortable now, knowing that odds are we're going to have a lockout next year, and I think that the Scooble deal amplifies those conversations, but they shouldn't be done. You get Edwin Diaz back, and I kind of view Diaz. It almost works as a midseason move because we haven't seen a lot of Diaz because of the injuries. Mm-hmm. You didn't give up a ton to get Scooble, right? And that's the other thing that I keep going back to. They got him from what I believe is a relatively cheap price. I do believe the Dodgers can enhance their outfield a tad bit at the deadline. I think that's what should be next on the agenda. I don't know that I necessarily trust Teoscar Hernandez defensively, specifically out in right field. It's not as if Kyle Tucker has looked like an all-star. I still see some vulnerability in the outfield. I think that's what they approach next. That's what they try to fix next. Doesn't have to be a blockbuster deal, but I would be surprised if the Dodgers don't make at least a minimal move between now and the end of the deadline, because you are all in, you go all in. If you're into this point, you make sure you fill up every single hole. And if there's anything we know about that organization, the front office will definitely do that.
Yeah, you're totally right, Jordan. And you start looking at Milwaukee and Atlanta, and you look at all the other teams in first place, and then you got to look at all the teams that are fighting for the wild card. There are going to be some fast moves going on less than 24 hours, Jordan, and you and I will be texting back and forth, but I do appreciate your time today. As always, your insight always gets me excited when I hear baseball.
I love it. I love coming on and chatting with you. Look, do you have time? I'm going to ask you one question. Do you have time for that?
Go ahead, Jordan. I know you love to ask me questions. Go ahead, fire away.
I love to ask you questions. For old time's sake, who's the biggest name that gets moved between now and the deadline? Who's the biggest name that gets moved?
You know what? I have to go with Mize out of Detroit. I think that pitcher is going to be moved. He's a good pitcher for the Tigers. I really believe that. I was surprised when I heard that, but as you say, with Scrooble getting moved, I think the Tigers are going to move another pitcher and get some more prospects. I think Atlanta might be into that move right there. I do. I just think that Detroit has given up their best pitchers, and they're going to rebuild. And I'm just a little disappointed because they did have an opportunity to win that division that just didn't happen this year. And the Tigers, again, are falling fast.
You're right there. You're right there, and you give up the best pitcher in baseball where his value is at an all-time low based on the rental fee. Yeah, man, that's got to stink to be a Tigers fan, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I'm a Tiger fan. You know that, Jordan. That's where my heart is.
Yes, you are. That's right.
Well, Jordan, have a great Sunday, buddy. I appreciate your time. We'll talk this week. I thank you for your time again.
Love it. Thank you so much, Bill.
All right, that was Jordan Buscarini, a good friend of mine out of Utah, does a great job following baseball, and we talk all the time during the week. I just love talking to him, and he's got so much insight. We're going to take a quick break, come back with more right here on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. Coming up next, my conversation with a good friend, Ryan Klesko, played 16 years in Major League Baseball, 8 with the Braves, 7 with the Padres, ended up his career with the San Francisco Giants. Coming up next, Ryan Klesko and I talk about his great, great career right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey keeps the postgame rolling live right here.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
On KNBR 104.5 FM and 680 AM. The sports leader.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Postgame Show with Bill Laskey. I'm delighted to bring a guest on with me today. He played 16 years in Major League Baseball. He was a World Series champion with the Atlanta Braves in 1995. He was a National League All-Star in 2001 with the San Diego Padres and ended his career wearing the orange and black with the San Francisco Giants. Let's welcome in Ryan Klesko. Ryan, how are you today?
Doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. 16 years. That's a big-time career for you. When you look back at the Braves, the Padres, and the Giants, some good years, what do you recall about this 16-year career?
Man, just a lot of great teammates. Baseball is a very humbling sport. You get your tail kicked just about out there every day. I don't think there's a lot of good dudes in the game. In sports in general, but especially in baseball.
Well, Ryan, when you go back in time, your mom grew up with you guys and you and your two sisters. And I love the story. In high school, you were a pitcher. And your mom put the catching gear on, built you a mound in the backyard, and she said, let's go. I want to teach you how to pitch. A little bit about your background with your mom, Lorraine.
Oh, man, she definitely was my rock when it comes to all, the game, learning the game. Obviously, both my sisters were very good softball players, so I was the youngest of three. So we were hitting travel softball when, I think all this travel softball, travel baseball stuff started in California. So we were doing the travel softball stuff and staying in tents, and I was just getting dragged around all the ballparks. And I think my mom figured it out. We got three kids. I know she's not going to be able to afford to send three kids all into college. So it's going to be either, academic or sports. So she gave us every opportunity. She worked extra jobs, cleaning houses on weekends down there in, like Long Beach or Long Beach area or Balboa, making extra money to send all the kids, both my sisters and myself, to hitting and pitching lessons over at Ron Lefevre hitting school behind Angel Stadium. So that's how I started my hitting and pitching lessons.
Well, you went to Westminster High School. The first few years, you were a pitcher throwing in the low 90s. You had a lot of scouts looking at you. You ended up playing for the USA Junior Olympics. And then all of a sudden, you had a little elbow injury your senior year, so you had to put the mound away. But you ended up playing first base. And boy, it didn't take you long. You started hitting long balls, base hits. Everything was working out for you. What was the big problem that you had that you couldn't pitch anymore?
Well, So I was on the Olympic team. I was, predicted to be in the, early first couple picks in the first round. Left-handed, 6'3". I think I topped out. I think the last time I pitched, I was topping out at like 94 miles an hour. Had a good curveball, had great mechanics. Just obviously, I was a good hitter. But when you're on the mound dominating like that, there's no Shohei Ohtani's back then. They're going to take you left-handed. Even to this day, I've seen one of the kids that the Braves got. One of the first round picks, Cam Caminetti, just a year and a half ago. He's mid to upper 90s off the mound, heck of a center fielder, and they took him as a pitcher. I just hurt my arm right before the draft. It was a freak accident. I caught a spike on a slide step when I was pitching on the mound, and I strained that ligament in my elbow. I didn't tear it completely, I just strained it, and I just went. It was right before my senior year started, and I just had problems with my elbow that year. They thought it was tendonitis, but. Anyways, I was always a good hitter. The Braves still drafted me as a pitcher, but I went in and took batting practice. I went in, after the draft and went in, and the doctors were looking at my elbow, and they go, "Hey, while you're here, one of our scouts has you as a power hitter. We would love to watch you take batting practice." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, they're like, "Right now, like, grab your, we're going to put him." And this is at Dodger Stadium. The closest I ever got to a field at Dodger Stadium when I was growing up was the upper deck. We couldn't afford. So here I am. Next thing you know, I'm taking batting practice in the first group, and Dale Murphy's walking around. Dave Justice, which was, finishing off, I think, close to the rookie of the year that year. I mean, I'm sitting there hitting with these guys, and I hadn't even turned 18 yet.
You were still in high school, correct? Because you got drafted out of high school. Yeah,
I was still in high school. The draft happened back then. The draft was early, and I was still in high school, so I still had I believe we were getting out of school, I think, that week or the next week. So when the draft happened, I was still in high school. Yeah, I wasn't even 18 yet.
Wow. Ryan Klesko joining me on the Extra Inning post-game show. You did get drafted in 1989 by the Braves, and I love this story. You ended up going to Bradenton, Florida. You didn't like humidity because you didn't know anything about it from California. The mosquitoes were big, and you just said, how in the hell am I going to get out of Bradenton? And your coach said, well, you got a hit to get out of here. And boy, you did. Tell me a little bit about that rookie ball.
Oh, man. You're talking about, Southern California weather, growing up surfing, fishing. Mom would be like, hey, just be home by, don't do anything stupid. Here I am, when I leave that, I go, it's 90-something degrees, close to 100 degrees, humidity. I've never seen it rain in my life when it was hot. I had curfew. We had two other roommates and payphones, and this, standing in line to talk to whoever you want to talk to in a payphone line of and we were combined back then with the Pirates, and I believe it was the Twins. So just a jammed up hotel. I think it was back then. It was Pirate City. It was an old hotel, and man, you bologna sandwiches and peanut butter and jelly. I mean, it was like, what did I do? I'm thinking I'm signing professionally, and when I get to this place, I'm like, what the heck have I done? I should have definitely stayed at Arizona State, because I had a full ride to Arizona State. I committed there. I was about ready to start school, but yeah, I was homesick. I was away from, never been to Florida, never seen humidity, and I'm like, I'm trying to get my signing bonus back and go back home. And they're like, I'm like, man, that can't be, that's not possible. And so they said hit, and I believe. I was literally had my bat in my room with me. I carried that bat around. I was like, I was going to hit. And I think ever since that conversation, I believe, like over the next maybe 2 weeks or so, I think I hit about 650 or 750.
Yeah, and you ended up moving to A-ball, and then you ended up going to High A in Durham. You ended up going to Greenville in Double-A, and then you ended up going to Richmond in Triple-A. And I think that's when everything started coming close to you. You hit 260, 17 home runs, 59 RBIs, and that was the old Diamond. The Diamond isn't there anymore. What did you think when you were going through the minor leagues? It's a question I always ask hitters. When did it really start getting a little tougher for you? Was it Double-A to Triple-A? Some of them say it was Triple-A to the big leagues. What did you think, Ryan?
I didn't. I pretty much was hitting between 270 and 340 all the way through until I hit Triple-A. And that's when you get the 2-0, 3-0 change-ups, the sinkers. I think I was MVP of the Southern League, which was Double-A. And I struggled in AAA. I went down and that swing was working, but until it wasn't working. So AAA was the only time I really struggled. And I think that was the year I hit 260 with I think the lowest I ever hit anywhere in the minor leagues is like 250 or 260. Nowadays that's plus, right? But I was pulling a lot, sending the ball to the right side too much as a left-hand hitter. The veteran pitchers were throwing changeups away and two-seamers starting over the middle of the plate and running them off, and I was ground down. And Willie Stargell fixed me in the offseason. I got called up. I did get called up, and just, swing wasn't right yet. So Willie Stargell worked with me. He was definitely, it was my mom and obviously Willie Stargell, and obviously I had some help along the way with some coaches. But it was between, my mom and Willie Stargell. I owe most of my at least getting there too. And Willie took me to the backfield in spring training and said, "Hey, look, what are you struggling with? What'd you struggle with?" And we worked on a ton of left center field stuff, backing the ball up, letting the ball travel, changed a couple things. And then within really 2 sessions, I went back to AAA and I was hitting like 360. I hit like 4 or 5 home runs, a dead center field, left center field. And that changed it. That's when the light turned on. So definitely after my first year at AAA, that off season or going to spring training, Willie Stargell worked with me along. Obviously we had Frank Howard around, another, guy that was, guy just unbelievable. We had Hank Aaron was cruising the complex, and I mean we had it was crazy. I mean it's so cool to have these guys around helping you and understanding your struggles. And the middle part of the game, everybody's good, but that middle part of the game, that Willie Stargell was unbelievable. Was sitting the kid down, talking, taking him to dinner, and go, what are we struggling with here? What do I need to help you with? And that right there, when the Braves did that, you got guys that are Hall of Fame guys. They're hired to help your minor league guys when their struggles and understand not just hitting the ball. I'm talking about mental part of the game, missing the family, grinding, taking you out to dinner. That's what I think that's what made a lot of our, you got to figure, my A-ball team, we had like 80% of our A-ball team make it to the big leagues. That's really rare. The scouts, Paul Snyder with great, not missing on talent, but really once you get in those kids, I think our scouting program in our minor league with the Braves back then, they brought major leaguers in. They don't do it as much anymore. I'm really surprised. They bring in these guys, these veteran guys that have been in the game to really help these young guys. They still do it a little bit, but the Braves brought me in for several years after I retired, and they still bring in like Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones, bring in and go down to the minor leagues and help these kids. That's what really helped me out a lot.
Ryan Klesko joined me on the Extra Inning postgame show. In 1993, you got to the big leagues, and of course, first hit, first home run. The first hit you got off of Brian Harvey. That was against the Marlins, and about 2 weeks later than that, you got your first home run off Tim Wakefield when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I know you remember it. Tell us both of them.
Well, I mean, listen, I was struggling. I tell kids, because I run the Atlanta Braves scout teams and help run them. And I train youth, teenage kids and help them get into college. And we've got 4 or 5 teams right now, age 14, 18. But I tell them, I said, listen, guys, I went through it. I got called up. I didn't get a hit.
Yeah.
I lined out, I popped out, I struck out, I ground out. I couldn't buy a hit. I said, it's not like I struggled bad. But I went through the offseason going 0 for 14 I lined out probably, I hit the ball hard quite often. I just couldn't buy a hit. I had to spend my offseason with zeros across the numbers and go back to AAA with zeros. Went back to winter ball, grinded in winter ball. Every offseason I went to winter ball. I had to grind it out and continue to get better. I said, that's what you have to do in this game. This game beats you down. I could have gave up on the game and never made it back out of my leagues. But I just kept working. And I told them, I said, listen, everybody makes errors. Everybody strikes out. Everybody has a slump. You just have to learn to get out of it faster and learn what causes that stuff. And again, a lot of these guys, it's a lot of help from other teammates and other coaches that have been there in your spot. And then that's you got to lean on those guys.
Well, in 1995, the Atlanta Braves win the World Series. You guys go 90 wins, 54 losses in the season. You ended up beating the Rockies 3-1. You ended up beating the Reds 4-0. Then you had to play the Cleveland Indians. And on that year, Fred McGriff had 27 home runs. You had 25 home runs. Dave Justice had 20 home runs. Chipper Jones had 20 home runs. That was some power in that lineup. And you fit in very well. Tell me a little bit about that season first. And then, of course, your 3 home runs in the World Series made a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I was young. That was my second full year in the big leagues. My first full year was strike year. So to be honest with you, my first full year in the big leagues was the year we won it. The 94 season was strike shortened. So, I mean, I still didn't have a ton of at bats. I got platooned a little bit early on. Bobby was big into that early on. He did that some for left-hand hitters and gave some lefties until you got more mature, right? Until you started facing more. But it was a great year. I started off. I tell people that was a great year for me. I had 3 home runs in the World Series. It was my first full year of playing, and we win the whole thing against a Cleveland Indian team, which everybody picked for us to get beat by because I think they were pushing almost close to 100 wins. Loaded team, loaded. I mean, you're talking about Jim. I mean, you're talking about guys that were Eddie Murray, Robbie Alomar Jr., Jim Tomei, and Manny Ramirez were on that team, and no one even knew who they were.
Right.
But then we had myself, Chipper Jones, Javi Lopez. I mean, it was a very good hitting offensive team by both sides. Albert Bell, 50 home runs. I mean, just crazy hitting. But, we had Greg Maddux. We had Sean Smoltz. We had good pitching. Not to say they didn't have good pitching. I just thought our pitching was just superb.
Well, Ryan, in 16 years, 8 times you hit 20 home runs or more. In 96, you hit 34. In 2001, with the Padres, you hit 30. Home runs were pretty prevalent for you. Pulling the ball, going the opposite way. What made you a power hitter?
I played in a lot of big ballparks. I think, we played in Turner Field, which was huge. I played in Petco, which was the worst hitting ballpark that in San Francisco in the country. So we had to learn to hit line drives. Yeah, I mean, and you had to learn to, hit driving. My whole deal was driving in runs, getting on base. I love getting on base, especially when as I become more of a mature hitter when I got into San Diego and learned to cut my strikeouts down. And I was constantly trying to get better. Early in my career, I had a lot of high strikeout ratios versus walk ratio, but I was always trying and grinding to get better. Every year I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to be an all-star. I won, my second year we won the World Series. I wanted to be an all-star. I wanted to be an everyday guy. So I just kept grinding. I kept studying tapes. I love that part of the game. And if I wanted to have a career at it, the league is constantly adjusting to you. You have to constantly work. And I saw guys like Barry Bonds, which was my teammate. My last year in San Francisco, Barry and I were great friends. We spent a lot of time in the outdoors together. He broke the all-time home run record and picked me up in the dugout like I was a small child, and just had a great relationship with Barry. I know Barry takes a lot of flack, but I tell you what, my time with Barry was just great. We obviously he was older, he was more mature. And like I said, I had a great time with Barry, and he helped me. I wish I've been with Barry and spent some time with Barry early on, and Tony Gwynn, because those two guys really helped me out a lot. Tony Gwynn in my San Diego days, and then Barry my last year. If I'd have got with Barry early on and saw some of the stuff and did some of the stuff he did, I think my chance of Hall of Fame would have been a lot better.
We'll take a quick break on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show and bring you more with Ryan Klesko right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
Bill is back.
Fired up, bringing it, all excited.
This is KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
Listen on your Google Home smart speaker by saying play KNBR.
Welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. More with Ryan Klesko. Well, Ryan, you played two positions. You played first base and you played the outfield. And in 16 years, you had a .992 fielding percentage at first base. And it was fabulous. 500 double plays, 47 errors, really good at first base. And then when you went to the outfield, you struggled a little bit in the outfield. You made 31 errors. When did you go to the outfield, and how much did you play in the outfield in your 16 years?
So I never played outfield in a day of my life until Ron Gant got hurt in that motorcycle accident, and they needed an outfielder. I take that back. I played 1/3 of a game in Puerto Rico when Albert Bell got kicked out of a game, and they had no other outfielder left, and I went to the outfield to finish the game. That was the only experience I had in the outfield. So I had to work at it. You know, the first couple of years I struggled. I mean, your angles, right? I was on the completely side of the diamond. I wasn't even on the right side now. I was on the left side because you got a guy named Dave Justice over on the right side. So I had to learn all the angles. And, you know, they told me, look, you're going to struggle at first. You know, you're going to knock it. They told me drive in more than you let in. And some days it was questionable. But as I got better out there and as I'd spent more time out there, I remember one year going into I think July or August, I had not even had an error in the outfield yet. So I took pride in that. It wasn't easy to learn, and it was a lot of extra work. But Jimmy Williams, God rest his soul, that man was great to me, and he would get out there and hit fungos to me every day and to make sure I was getting all my outfield work in. But as I grinded, and I was never a great outfielder, but as I grinded, I took a position that I was not very good at and made it to where after about 3 or 4 years, I started getting, I robbed a home run. I was making some diamond plays. I had 1 year I was top 10 in outfield assists at half. So I just, again, the game is all about getting better. I may not have started out as a great outfielder, but I ended up being a decent outfielder once I got a few years under my belt.
Well, Ryan, when you were learning to play the outfield, what was one of the hardest things? Was it the line drive coming at you? Because a lot of times they say they don't know the speed of the ball. Was it over your shoulder catches? What were some of the things you had to learn that you said, damn, this is tough?
Well, they can hit all the fungos they want to you, but when that ball off that left-handed bat going to left field, and when it's slicing away from you, or the ball off the right-handed bat, and when it poolside and it's hooking, you have to learn all that stuff. You can't read that only but in batting practice or in game. They can hit all the fungos in the world. It's not going to do a whole lot of that. So that's the stuff that I had to learn. When they cut the grass. When they cut the grass on the outfield, half the stadiums, they crisscross it. So the ball's literally snaking as it's coming to you. There's all kinds of things, you're getting out there, and it's a lot. And I had a strong arm. Once my arm healed, I could throw the ball a lot. So, I could throw guys. The guys weren't running on me, that for sure.
Well, going the other way.
I just had to learn it.
Yeah, going the other way, playing first base, that was more natural for you. You played it in high school. You played it through the minor leagues.
Right.
There was a lot of things you had to learn there, and you did it very well. When you're looking at over a .992 fielding percentage, everything was pristine at you. You could feel the ball, throw the ball to the pitcher covering first, go to the double play ball. What was so natural about it for you?
Just the time I had since I was in Little League. I just grew up doing it. I knew that side of the infield. Obviously when I went to San Diego, I went back there for a while because we had some issues in the outfield, and my manager asked me to go back there, and I said, if it helps my team win, I'll do whatever it takes. I know nowadays some guys don't like that, and I'm coming off All-Star season, and they asked me to move, and I moved. Whatever was best for the team. That's maybe my old school thinking. I know that. But hey, was I happy about it? Not necessarily. But when it comes down to it, it's all about winning. It had nothing to do with about Ryan Klesko. It's like, hey, if I look back and I had good teammates, and I, went out there and I played the game hard. Like when the game started, I played the game hard, and it was a little bit different back then. But we played the game hard and played the game to win. And we won a lot. Even in San Diego, a couple of years in San Diego, we went into the playoffs. So I was accustomed to winning, and it wasn't about stats. It was about playing the game and being a good teammate and trying to win. You know what I'm saying? So that was the main. And it came not just from me. That came from the Braves way. Mm-hmm. That came from Bobby Cox's way. The Braves way is to go out there and do everything you can to win and work your butt off. And that was installed from the time I got drafted.
A few more minutes with Ryan Klesko on the Extra Inning post-game show. You mentioned it, Bobby Cox being one manager, and you also had Bruce Bochy, who will be a future Hall of Fame manager. Two good leaders, two good guys that you could, go in their office and talk to, two very good communicators. Were they similar in ways, and were they pretty hard on you in different ways?
Very similar when it comes to, being open. Very, very similar when it comes to being private. When they did have to talk to you about certain things, they didn't call you out in the paper and the press. I never really respected the managers that talked about their players in the paper. Those guys seemed to get burned out pretty fast. The players didn't respect them. If you need to work with a guy, especially a young guy, call him in his office. Don't do it in front of the team. Don't yell out in front of the team. Call him in the office and, work with them. They're a lot of us are kids, coming in there at 21. I was there at 21 years old, and Bobby did that, and Bruce Bochy was the same way. They didn't bury their guys in the media. They talked to you. If they had a face-to-face with you, it was closed doors most of the time, unless you did something real stupid. Like I said, I went through it. I hit a ball. If I was a home run, hit off the wall, I got benched. Andrew Jones, congratulations to Andrew Jones, making the Hall of Fame. It happened to him. It happened to Ronald Acuna. It's like, right. You got to, sometimes you got to, everybody goes through it, and that's why I tell my kids I'm training nowadays, like, look, man, I've been in every aspect of the game. I've been to the highs. I've been to the lows. I hit home runs in the World Series. I've made errors in the World Series. I've been on the winning side. I've been on the losing side. So, it's just learning the game and grinding it. And when it comes down to it, and it's about all the good friendships I've made and my teammates Dave Justice just sent me a message earlier today with us at the alumni game, and that made me smile. Just keeping up and being a good teammate, and having good friendships and good alumni situation. I know the Giants have a great alumni group. I know the Padres are starting to do a really good job with bringing their guys back. The Braves are world class when it comes to bringing all their former players back and being involved with the community. So it's just awesome.
Well, Ryan, 16 years, you finished with a .280 lifetime batting average, 1,564 hits, 343 doubles, 278 home runs. I'm going to talk about 4 different pitchers. 2 you hit real well, and 2 you had problems with. Let's go to the ones you had problems with first. Jason Schmidt, 7 for 48. You still hit 3 doubles, 1 home run off him. Hit a $146 off of him. Kurt Schilling, 11 for 56, 3 doubles, 3 home runs. You hit a $196 against him. 2 good arms coming at you. Tell me a little bit about the problems they portrayed for you.
Oh, God, I got a great story for Jason Schmidt. So Jason, the best one, I tell it all the time. So Schmitty was on our team with the Braves. And we swept, I can't remember who it was. It was the Rockies or the Reds or whoever we beat up, really. And so we were off. Well, Schmitty didn't make the playoff roster. He was an extra pitcher. And we went in, how you do the extra hitting, sure. If you got like 3 days out. Well, Schmitty comes in and he's my bud, and I go up there and I'm just joking around and I step in the box and I point like the Babe Ruth and I point out to the right field seats. And he throws the first pitch fastball and I hit it exactly where I pointed in the seats. And everybody was like, it embarrassed the crap out of him, right? And so ever since then, he perceived to never let me hit another ball hard off him. I might have hit 1 home run off of him after that. But every time I stepped in the box, if he was throwing 95, he was throwing 99 to me. That dude, he remembered that was the biggest mistake I ever made, was make him mad at me for that. And but I love Schmitty. Great changeup, right? Like
fantastic,
fantastic changeup. And I can be honest with you, I never hit the ball well in San Francisco, especially at Candlestick early on. I just never seen the ball go there. I had open stance and it was kind of like a blank. I really didn't see the ball, so I never really hit good at the old stadium when I first came up. But as when they built the new stadium, it was great. And then Kurt Schilling, I never hit well in the old Philadelphia Stadium. The mound was so big, and Schilling was on that far side over there, and I just never seen the ball good out of his hand until he got to Arizona. And then in Arizona, like, my numbers were terrible against him in Philly, but when he came to Arizona, that's where I got the 3 homers against him. Just struggled, but I tell you what, it was probably 0-50 until he got to Arizona. So at least they were respectful. I got him 3 times.
Well, let's talk about the 2 guys you hit real well. Andy Ashby, 15 for 40, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 375. And then Hideo Nomo, 15 for 50, 4 doubles and a home run, just over 300. Both of these guys you saw real well, and you hit them very well.
Yeah, I had a couple guys. Actually, I had a couple guys that were, starting pitchers that I hit over 500 with. I remember one guy, I can't remember, he was a starting pitcher. I remember I was hitting, Bruce Butcher called me and my back was bothering me. He's like, dude, he was like, you gotta play today. He goes, this is your guy. I'm like, he goes, you're 15 for 22 with like 7 home runs against this guy. He goes, every third time, every second at bat, you're hitting a home run off this guy. So I got on there, got on some good Advil, some good pain meds, and I ended up hitting a 3-run homer to beat him in the last game. But another guy, I seen Nomo. Okay, Nomo hurt me early. He had the nastiest split, but I found out he was tipping his split finger. Chipper Jones had showed me it, and he started tipping his split finger just in there. Most guys couldn't see it, but I started getting to the point where he was tipping a little bit, and I laid off that split finger. And Noma was tough on everybody who were laying with that split. And Chipper and I were. I remember Bobby Cox in the lineup. He literally said, "I don't know why you and Chipper are playing. You guys are combined 1 for like 36 against him." And so we figured out we needed to change some things because we weren't hitting him, and we figured out he was tipping in his split finger a little bit. And then Pedro Martinez, I hit really well. I think I ended up getting Pedro Martinez like 5 or 6 times, which is a Hall of Fame pitcher. And I hit him really well because he threw at me. He threw behind my head twice.
It got your attention.
The second time he did it, we the bench is cleared. I ran about 6 steps out, and I walked out, and I pointed at him and said, "You do that one more time, I'm coming to get you." And so every time I got in the box against Pedro, it was extra. I was trying to hit the ball in the seats, and it was a battle against him and Pedro because they call him a headhunter, and he listen. I don't mind pitching inside, but don't throw in my head. So he was a competitor. He threw at a lot of guys' heads.
Well, Ryan, as we finish up here, you did a lot of things away from the field. Make-A-Wish was a big part of your lifestyle. You did a lot of things for different charities. Why Make-A-Wish? What was so special about that?
Well, my sister was a children's oncology nurse for over 20 years, working with sick kids. She actually took care of Rod Crew's daughter when she was going through a pretty bad illness, and took care of Rod Crew's daughter. I seen what my sister did. I really wanted to work with the kids. I've seen it even when I was younger. When I was in high school, I seen what she did, and I just try to continue that. I love working. I understand that the game of baseball is tough, but when you're fighting for your life, especially as a kid, it makes it tough. So I always, I actually ran off the right off the Make-A-Wish. I started doing my own Blue Rhino Foundation. We work with kids with illnesses, with the family emergencies, and we've been doing that with the Blue Rhino Foundation for 25, 30 years, and now we've changed that mission to actually with underprivileged youth in baseball. So we're still running it with the Blue Rhino Foundation. We're helping kids that can't afford to play baseball and travel baseball, and now we're getting kids into college, and so I'm still working at it.
Well, Ryan, what a pleasure to catch up with you. A great career you had, and all the things away from the game you're doing is so special. And, I just want to thank you and congratulate you, my friend. Outstanding.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Well, that was Ryan Klesko on the Extra Inning Postgame Show. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.
The game may be over, but we know you want to talk more ball. So KNBR Extra Innings with Bill Laskey continues.
Sponsored by Lenardi's Markets of the Bay Area. Quite simply, the best.
We are KNBR 104.5 and 6.8, the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. The Giants have made a trade. Buster Posey has traded Tyler Mahle to the Atlanta Braves. Tyler was 3-9 in 18 starts, just over a 5-point earned run average, 94 and 2/3 innings, 95 hits, 14 home runs he gave up, and they got a reliever who's played 3 parts of the seasons, one with the Colorado Rockies for a couple years, and then this year he pitched 5 games for the Atlanta Braves. Anthony Molina, the right-hander, is 24 years old, and he also pitched in a WBC for the Venezuela team. So a trade has been made, and we'll find out more as it continues throughout the evening. But I want to thank you for joining the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. I want to thank my guests, Jordan Buscarini, as well as Ryan Klesko. If you missed either one of those interviews, they'll be on the All KNBR podcast. Thank my producer today, Kyle Haar. Did a great job. He'll be with me tomorrow as we do the Sports Phone KNBR post-game show after the Giants will travel to Texas and play the Rangers. Logan Webb on the hill tomorrow, 6-7 with a 3.9 earned run average. First pitch right here at 5:05. I want to thank you, Giants fans, for calling in. Like I said, I'll be doing Sports Phone KNBR tomorrow. Have a great rest of the evening. Stay tuned for KNBR tomorrow with more trades coming through, as the trading deadline is tomorrow, 3 p.m. Post Coast time, Pacific Coast time. For Bill Laskey, have a great rest of Sunday night. More coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
It's another great outing for the righty.